All right guys, today we're going to talk about the different types of microphones that we have and how you can use them and some of the differences in characteristics. The first microphone I'm going to talk about is the simplest one of all. It is called the dynamic microphone. Now you see this microphone used a lot in audio, singing, anywhere people are talking. There are several different kinds and types. If you remember from your review questions and terms, mics come in low, medium, and high frequencies. Okay, they respond better to those types of frequencies, and a dynamic microphone happens to respond best to mid-level frequencies. Okay, and that's where the human voice falls, is in the mid-range. So that's why you see a dynamic microphone used for that purpose a lot. Now, a dynamic microphone, as if you remember, has a electromagnet in there, and as you're talking into the microphone, that coil and vibrates and causes the magnetic field to send out some electrical signals that go from the microphone through the cable to your recording device or amplifier or mixer, whatever you happen to have it plugged into. Now we have this one, and then we have this other one here, or we have a couple that look like this, and these are very special ones because they have the plug-ins that are specifically made for smartphone devices, and so they plug in without an adapter. And they usually have a port here where you can plug in some headphones and monitor the sound. So these are both dynamic microphones. Now, dynamic microphones are usually a high impedance microphone, and that just means that the cables they use usually come in with a 1/4 inch connector or a 1/8 inch mini plug like you see here. Now this one does connect to an XLR, so it would also make use of an XLR cable, but it is more of a high impedance type microphone, which you'll generally find in any microphone that has an 1/8 inch mini plug or cable like that. They're usually, you don't get as good a distance in the cables when you're trying to use those. So we have two dynamic microphones, mostly used for speaking and talking. Okay. Really quick, let me talk about two of the specialty mics that we have. Actually, three specialty mics that we have here. All right, this is a Blue Snowball mic. It is good for tabletop talking. I use it for whenever I'm making videos at my computer. It picks up my voice really well. It has a USB connector, so it connects to a computer or even to a mixer or soundboard with a USB cable, and that also powers it. This one is basically an omnidirectional mic. Then we have another mic here. Now this one is more or less for sound, for singing, for good quality sound. It also has a selectable pickup pattern, in that it'll pick up omnidirectional all the way around, or pretty much in front and not in the back. So it is selectable. It is also in the shock mount here to keep it, if it gets bumped or something, it's not going to go clunk really loud, because if you hit it with it on, it's going to make a really loud noise. One thing I did fail to mention with a dynamic mic is most dynamic microphones have a pickup pattern that is heart-shaped, cardioid. And like think of a heart turned upside down, so it picks up a little bit here and here, but then the point of the heart is up here, so it picks up really well right here, and that's why you see people using these this way. And what makes this good for voice and reports is that it doesn't pick up a lot of noise elsewhere. Pretty much you're going to have to speak fairly close into this mic for it to pick up your voice or anything well. Now, if there is a lot of other noise going on, yes, it will pick it up, but it's not the best for that. All right, so cardioid, pickup pattern, like a heart. This one is omnidirectional, which is all the way around. And the last specialty mic I want to talk about is this parabolic mic. Now, this is from the same company that you see on the sidelines of football games, the guys holding the big parabolic dishes. And what they're doing is they're just trying to get some of the sound, you know, the grunts and the, you know, clashes of the game, and, you know, to work that into the audio to give you a more realistic experience at home. And so we happen to have a couple of parabolic mics, and this, of course, has an XLR connector. Now, how this works is this dish brings noise in, and then it concentrates it right here to the point where the microphone is right here. So it kind of brings in a wide range of sound and concentrates or focuses it on that point. So it is a very good thing for picking up a lot of sounds out in that area there that you may not otherwise hear. Now, you'll see some of these laying around here. Let's talk about these really quick. These are wind screens. Some people call it a cat's tail because it looks like a cat's tail. But these types of microphones we're going to talk about next are condenser mics, and these particular ones are shotgun mics. And anytime the wind hits it, it goes, I mean, it makes a really noticeable sound. So we put the wind screens on them to keep it from popping and doing the wind sound that you'll hear sometimes. Well, now this one is a fuzzy one. A lot of these other ones here are just simply foam wind screens that go over the microphones. Alrighty. Okay, now we had a dynamic microphone, and you know, in your reading you read a little bit about a ribbon mic, I believe, or at least in some of the videos that you looked at, a ribbon mic. We do not have ribbon mics. They are the mics that you would use to get the good lows or the good highs from someone singing. But they're also very fragile. You'll see those used in studios, in music studios. And also you'll see this little round pop screen in front of them. That's to keep people from, you know, the P's and the T's, those letters and consonants that have a lot of breath behind them, to keep that from hitting the mic, just simply because just to go puh, puh, like that in front of one of those mics really could tear it up. And they're very expensive, but they are super high quality, and they pick up frequencies that none of these other mics can even touch. And so they, you know, just add a very wide spectrum. So like I said, most of the mics we have here are all condenser mics. Okay, you've got a dynamic mic, and then basically everything else is condenser. Condenser has two little metal plates that as you speak, the plates vibrate, and then they send a signal down to, you know, your mixer, your camera, wherever you happen to have them plugged in. But the thing with a condenser mic is it has to have power. All right, so all these other mics, I mean, you know, this one here gets power through the USB cable. The rest of them will get power through their XLR cable. Now, really quickly, XLR cable is your low impedance cable. All right, it has 3 separate wires. They're coded. They're separate from each other, so you don't have a lot of interference. And you can have fairly long runs of up to, I think it's 300 feet with these before you need, you know, some type of amplifier, repeater, or something like that. You cannot do that with a dynamic mic. I mean, you only get about 15, 25 feet, and your signal starts degrading with a dynamic mic. But an XLR cable carries not only the signal back to the mixer or your camera, but it also carries power to the mic. So this mic right here, this shotgun mic. All right, let's talk about the shotgun mics. I have several of these shotgun mics here, and we'll just take a quick look at them. And these are the ones that we probably, well, we use these a good bit. This one here actually has a hot shoe mount for actually fitting on the hot shoe of a camera. Now this one, the DSLR camera does not provide the power, so this has you put a 9-volt battery in this one right up here, turn it on, and that gives it its power. Okay, and it would plug in right over here. Now, again, this is a 1/8 inch mini plug, if I can find the correct slot. And so this would be considered a high impedance mic, but still it's a shotgun mic and it works very well for this application. Now you could also put it here and attach it to your iPod. So let me do it really quick and we'll take a look at the iPod. So your iPod would fit in here, and again, this mic, that's the right direction. Nope. Hang on one second. It would help if I would loosen it up. Okay. All right, so you could carry it around, use it like this. Now, one thing with an iPhone or an Android phone is the microphone and speaker port are all the one and the same. They all work together, so you have to have a special cable. Now, the cable here on this mic only has two little plastic rings in it, black rings, which means it's stereo. If you only have one black ring, it is mono, but you need 3, and that separates the left and right audio and the microphone. So you have to have the correct cable. So I would plug this in here, and then I would plug my microphone into the one here that says microphone. The other one here does say speaker, so that's how that would work. And, that gives you something. You could hold this, walk around with it like this, or mount this on a tripod. Okay, so these microphones can also be used fairly easily with an iPod. Now, these are called shotgun mics because the barrels are about the same size as a shotgun, a 20 gauge, 12 gauge, something like that. All right, and you can they're even longer than this one. This is a fairly long one. All right, but they all need some kind of power. Now this one has a 9-volt battery power. This one can either work off power from your mixer or amp or your camera, or it also has a slot for a AA battery. Now, generally, you do not hold these mics. They are, you see how this one is mounted in this plastic mount here, rubber mount. Even in the cameras, when they're mounted in, they're surrounded by a rubber mount to keep it from making noise when it's moved. Now, I know in your reading, okay, part of your reading talked about a mic boom or boom pole. So this is what a boom pole would look like. Okay, and then you would just simply, hold the mic over your talent so that you can get, very right at them, get very specific where they're at. And these mics are very sensitive. Like I said, it's a condenser mic, onboard power, or it has to have some type of a power to work. But this is how a boom pole would work, and you can extend this on out. And where you record, we usually record with this Zoom recorder. So we'd plug this in there, the other end into the Zoom recorder, and hit record, zoom to record to an SD card. Or you can plug this into one of your better video cameras, camcorders. And this one has 2 XLR connectors. Okay, so I could actually have 2 microphones, 2 of these shotgun mics coming into this camera, both of them. Input 1, input 2. Most of the time we keep it on input 1 and tell it we want that to be a stereo, make it sound like it's left and right. Now notice right here though, this is what I was talking about in holding the microphone. Okay, well anyway, this one is not made for this exactly, but it would clamp it in there, and then that's rubber. The microphones that go with this have a little rubber sleeve here that helps clamp them in the clamp here. Now this camera, not only does it take an XLR, which is a low impedance mic, but it also has a port right here, the red one by the headphone jack, that you can plug in one of these other microphones. You can plug in this low impedance handheld mic, high impedance handheld mic, or even use this one. You know, it would fit in the hot shoe, and you could plug it in here. If that's what you happen to have, it would work very well. While I'm holding this camera, most cameras have an onboard microphone, and it is the condenser mic. This one is right here, kind of hard to see. It's behind this plate here. But these are omnidirectional mics. This is a Vixia, a smaller, cheaper camera. Its onboard mic is right here at the very front, okay? It's omnidirectional. It picks everything up all the way around, so it's not really a good conversational mic. So you really don't want to use an onboard camera mic when you're trying to record a conversation, which is what we generally try to do most of the time. All right, so we've talked about dynamic microphones. We've talked about these shotgun mics a little bit. Now the shotgun mics, we talked about the cardioid pattern here. We've talked about omnidirectional here. But now with these shotgun mics, we have what we call a hypercardioid. Think of a heart, but then you take it from the tip and you just stretch it way out, okay? That is a hypercardioid pattern. So a shotgun mic is made to get sounds out there, all right? And as it doesn't get anything from behind really, okay? And nothing much from the sides. Now it does, once you get up here a little bit, it will pick up from the sides, but its main focus is on out there a little ways, straight out in front of it like a shotgun, like all right? So that is its pickup pattern. All right, the last type of microphone I'm going to talk about is called a lapel mic. Now you see right now I'm wearing a lapel mic. I'm actually recording this to my phone using the voice memo. I have an iPhone up here, or iPod, that's recording, and it's also recording sound as well. And I have two cameras, one far away and one close up, and you probably, if you're watching the video, you've seen my cuts, okay? But I'm using this so that I can get really good sound. It's right here near me, so it's going to pick me up and not pick up a lot out there. Now it is an omnidirectional mic, so if you were standing right in front of me and talking, it would pick you up somewhat. But I told you, 3 cameras, and then I have another audio source. So to line those up, just a quick thing here, you've seen them in the movies before. These are called slates. And they'll go like scene 1, take 2. All right, that sound you just heard right there, all right, that synchronizes or helps synchronizes all of the audio and video. So now I can find that slap or snap, and I can line those up, and then everything is lined up from there on out. And what I did before I started, I didn't use a clapper board, but I just clapped my hands. Works just as well. Now you don't have to have a fancy one like this. You can use just a couple pieces of board, or these. You can find these at party shops sometimes. These are just little old cheap wooden ones. Anything works. Right? We just usually clap our hands right now, when we're just trying to do this so we can get them synchronized. All right, the last type, again, I'm talking about lapel mics, okay? This type of mic attaches to your clothing in some way or another, and some people go to a lot of trouble to even hide them. The best thing to do is have it out like I do, but you want it, unobtrusive. You don't want your wires hanging out and stuff, so mine have run down in my shirt. Now, what I'm using here is plugged directly into my iPhone. Now, this one is a Rode mic, and it was made specifically for smartphone devices. So it plugs in with no adapter. I do not have to have an adapter like this to plug in to make sure that I have the 3 or 4 little sections here, the 3 plastic sections that separate the left and right audio from the microphone. So this one works directly with that, okay? So a couple of others that I have here, let me show you this one as it is. I mean, it's just a really small phone microphone, and it is made to be indiscreet and to plug straight into your phone. Now I have, let me see, I've got two others here. Now these are wired as well, and these are made to get far away. So if I was going to plug this into a camera, it would give me some distance. These are really, I mean, if that's what you got, that's what you use, but they're really kind of, to me, that they get all tangled up easily, and they're just as not easy to work with. Plus, all right, they work off of these little watch batteries, these little tiny batteries. And a lot of times we'll use it, and whoever's using it or takes off forgets to turn it off. Well, you come in the next day, it's dead. We went through a pile of these 1 year, and I just finally stopped using them, but just because it was costing us so much money in batteries. But I mean, I do have several of them. But like I said, we use this little Rode, and then of course we have the wireless solution. All right, so this has your let me see if I can get them separated. All right, you have your body pack, okay, which has your lapel mic on it, and this would, attach to your belt, and you turn it on. It has its own frequency, so you could have bunches of these running at one time, and they would all be on different frequencies, so the audio would be always separated. This is the receiver, okay, and it is plugged either into your soundboard or into the XLR input on your camera. And this also has a hot shoe mount that can be put on here, so it can sit on top of the camera, or it can just be belted to your body. And there's also the smaller 1/8 inch mini plug that can be used, that can be put in with this as well, and it can be used on other cameras like this one that does not have a XLR port, but it's still a very good microphone to use with it. Now, of course, both of these, the microphone, the transmitter, and the receiver both work off of batteries, so it has its own power. So you don't really have to worry about it being plugged into a mixer or a camera that has, to get its power from. It has its own onboard power. These are very high quality mics. They work very well. They are rather expensive though. Each set is about $500. The little Rode mic I'm using here, this one is about $60. These dynamic mics are about, I don't know, 30, 40 maybe. I think this one's 20 something. This is about 35 or 40. And the shotgun mics I have, about 60 or 70 bucks here, all the way to, I don't know, maybe close to 200 for the longer one here. This was about 170, this particular mic here. So as you can see, the more expensive the mic gets, usually the better quality it is. Let me see. Pickup patterns of the lapel mics is usually an omnidirectional pickup pattern, but it is not a huge big pattern, and your body separates you from what's behind you pretty much. So you're pretty much just going to pick up what's right here in front of you. So it works really good again for conversations, especially when you're moving, you're not in one spot or location. These types of mics, lapel mics, and especially a wireless mic, lets you get away from the camera a good bit and go places that you could not. I mean, you would be stuck, with however long this cable is. Or if you're using a handheld mic, I think these are like 15 feet. I mean, this is about as far as you're going to get where I'm at now from the camera. So, each of them has their limitations, but again, 20 something bucks, maybe another 10 or 12 for this. So for about 35 or 40 bucks, you can have a mic that works, or you can spend upwards of 150, 200 bucks for a more expensive mic. But if you're only doing conversations and all, more inexpensive lapel like I have here, 50 or 60 bucks, may be more economical than going out and spending 200, 300 bucks for a boom mic. Okay, so you kind of have to look at your applications. Well, like I say, with us, we're doing a lot of speaking and also either some type of a lapel mic or a handheld, or if you've got a small group, even a shotgun mic. Now, a shotgun mic is not really good for a handheld mic, though I've seen people use them. I mean, they're just so sensitive. I mean, you have to cut them way back. I mean, it's almost overkill for a conversation. But they are very well at picking up groups of people that are talking and just trying to get that sound there. So, I mean, in a movie set, when they're filming, the main thing they're trying to get are the voices of the actors and actresses. They don't care about anything else. Everything else is added in later. And we'll talk about that when we talk about Foley a little bit later in this unit. All right, one last thing here that I see that I want to talk about. How do we combine these signals? Now, like I say, all of these you can plug straight into your camera. All right, and you get the audio is recorded right along with your video. All right, but if you've got a lot of people talking, maybe you have several of these wireless lapel mics, and you got 3 or 4 people and you're using that, you would use this because you would get very good audio from each, very clear, distinct, without a lot of other noise. But you know, you could plug it into a mixer and mix the audio, get everybody to where they're sounding about the same volume. You know, if maybe somebody talks really soft, you could bring them up, bring the other folks down. Now, we do not have amplifiers in here. Everything I have are mixers. I mean, even this little mini mixer here, I mean, all it does is volume, okay? Whereas this one, you can do some equalization with it and bring in some other things. Notice this one, though, only brings in 1/4 inch phono or phone connectors, which is a high impedance connection. So sometimes you get a hum with this, whereas with the XLR you won't. But that's pretty much what we use to combine signals. I mean, even in the studio and control room, we're bringing in a lot of different mics. We'll bring those into our soundboard, our mixer, and send that over to the TriCaster. All right, I believe that's everything I wanted to touch on as far as my, oh yes, one last thing here. The iPods. All right, an iPod, as long as you've are holding it fairly close, like right here and even down to here, it's going to pick up your voice really well. I've got a video that I'll post and show you. I did a little experimenting with it, but I can, you know, I was holding this, acting like I was reading off of it, and it was actually my microphone. All right, I synced it and the camera before I started with a clap, so both of them had that clap. But then, you know, you're used to seeing people with their phones out now, so you can act like, you know, you're looking, and actually you can have some notes here if you're wanting some talking points, you're wanting to talk about something. And this could be your microphone. All right, you don't even have to have a lapel system. And this works very well, as long as there's not a lot of other noise around you. Because again, this is an omnidirectional mic, but it is very good if you're close. And I mean, these are too if you're close to them. But normally, if you're doing video, you know, you're not going to get this close right here. Have the camera here and here, just so you can get some good audio there. So again, make use with what you have. iPhones, iPods, Android phones, any of those. I mean, today's phones record video every bit as good or better than this here, and they're even rivaling these, okay, these more expensive cameras. Like I say, the biggest drawback right now is just the small lens. That's about it. I mean, the guts inside are the same. All right, so yeah, so this works well as well. If you just need something to talk to, you could hold up, like I say, like I mean, have you some notes here and use this as a microphone, as a recording device. Okay, even if you're interviewing somebody else, you know, turn the microphone to them. Treat it like you might a dynamic handheld microphone. Treat this as your handheld. So that's just another tip, and I'll share that other video with you so you can take a look at it, and hopefully it will help as well. Okay, so hopefully you've learned a little bit today about the different types of microphones that we have. Like I say, the ones we'll be using the most, probably this lapel mic, and probably the ones that connect into the iPods. But we do have all these others that we can use, and we do use them in other productions and some other classes. All right, so thank you and have a good day.